Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I am finally going to give you guys what you have been asking for. My comment section has been flooded both on Instagram and here on YouTube. Mel, are you going to review the Natasha Denona Biba palette, or did the Safari one do you in? Now, because the Safari left such a bad taste in my mouth, I really wanted to make sure that I thoroughly tried this palette out and made sure that my opinions were not in any way a first impressions, that I tried everything and that I had a true thought behind the palette before I went in, because normally I would give like a first impressions and then I would go and do the several looks later, but I just really did not want to do that with this palette. So today I am doing 4 different looks for you guys, including the one that I'm wearing right now. I'm going to talk about the palette, I'm going to give you guys swatches, and then I will let you guys know if Natasha redeemed herself with this palette or if I feel the same way as I did with the Safari. So let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about the palette. First off, it's the all neutral Biba palette. Now this, I saw a comment somewhere on Instagram, I don't know if it was on the Trend Mood or somewhere, I saw a comment saying that this looked like barbecue, and I can't unsee that now. Like, I want to call this the barbecue palette because of the way that the letters go together. I don't see Biba anymore. I see barbecue. So whoever wrote that comment, thank you. Thank you, because this is now in my head as the barbecue palette from Natasha Denona. The palette retails for $129, and I do believe that this is permanent. And we have 15 brand new shades on the inside. Now, unlike the Safari palette, we do have different textures in here. So we have mattes, we have metallics, and then we have like this cream to powder type of formula in here. So you're not getting just an all matte palette. Now, the neutral name for this is kind of I don't know, because to me this is pretty warm toned with a splash of cool toned mixed in, but I feel like it should be called the all natural instead of the all neutral, because neutral to me is not this, but that's just my own personal opinion. But I'm going to get on the site and tell you guys about the palette as well as show you guys the swatches. What it is a must-have multi-use 15-pan palette with the most essential colors. The Biba palette features 15 brand new shades of Natasha Denona's signature formulas. It includes neutral, warm, and cool tones from light to dark in different textures. This eyeshadow palette is very user-friendly and covers a shade range that varies from mauves, burgundies, and browns to warm grays and black. I'm going to go ahead and dive into the swatches. So we have Rustic, a metallic copper, Prairie, matte camel, Cocoa, a dark matte burgundy, Freckle, a matte antique nude, Shine, metallic champagne, Pasha, matte red, Monroe, a metallic pink champagne, Rayon, matte medium burgundy, Buff, a matte antique pink, Tone, matte clay, Seed, matte dark chocolate, Tor, matte dark gray brown, Sculpt, matte light gray, Spot, matte dark black, and Tusk. It's a matte light beige. Now I have to say that it describes Spot as a matte dark black, and it's not matte. It's one of those like cream to powder type of formula, so it's kind of satiny. I would not call this a matte finish, and you can even see the sheen I have on my finger right there. As I mentioned, this is $129, and it says that it's an exclusive to Sephora, so you're not going to find this on Beautylish. It is on the Natasha Denona website, and I'm not sure if it's just an exclusive for a certain amount of time, if you'll be able to purchase it on Beautylish later or whatnot. All I know is right now it is on Sephora, which is where I purchased it. Now I'm going to go ahead and get into the 4 eye looks. I'm going to start off with the one that I am wearing right now. In all of the other tutorials other than this one, my eye was completely set. So I used my Tarte Shape Tape to prime my eyes and then Mac Blanc tape blanc type to set the lid and the brow everywhere on the eye. With this look right here, I use I think only the tones that have more of that like cream to powder texture other than the brow arch and inner corners. So I went in with a unset lid. Underneath my brow arch was set, but not the lid area. So I just want to make sure that you guys know that before going into this tutorial. For the look that I'm wearing right now, I'm starting off with the shade Rayon on an Esom S33. I'm placing that color directly into the crease first and then slowly blending the excess from the brush upwards into the transition area. With the same color, I'm working that shade onto the lower lash line with a Wayne Goss number 20 and slightly bringing it downwards. Next, I'm going to go around the edges of Rayon with Tone on a Zoeva 227. Using just a little bit of product and wrapping around the edges of Tone, and then I'm also going to bring it down across the lower lash line to blend out that shade as well. For the lid, I'm using an Esom W21 to apply Tour all over the lid up to the crease. Once I've got that laid down, I'm going to then take the same shade on a Wayne Goss number 19 and blending it into the crease. Still using Tour, I'm putting that right up against the lower lash line with a Royal and Langnickel BOM 456. Using a MAC 242 and the shade Monroe, I'm going to highlight the brow arch and lightly apply the same shade on the inner corner. Lastly, with the Royal and Langnickel BOM 456, I'm stamping the shade Spot on the top lash line, but I'm only going to put this on the outer 3/4 of the eye because I don't want to bring it all the way in and close off the eye. To finish off the look, I used Boss Milk Liner, the top inner rim, and the shade BCC on the lower waterline, and of course, mascara. Next, we're going to do this darker, warm, smoky eye look. And I'm starting off with the Sonia G Blender Pro and the shade Prairie. I'm starting on the outer V, placing the color down first and then blending it upward. Then I'm bringing it into the crease and the transition area. Wayne Goss number 20, same shade on the lower lash line, and again, I'm going to blend this down just a little bit. Now I'm going in with the shade Pasha on a Wayne Goss number 17. I'm applying that first to the outer corner and then bringing the excess slightly upward and into the crease. On the lid, I'm using an Esom W21 to apply Rustic all over the lid, up to the crease, and then tapping over the last shade we laid down to blend them together. Now I'm highlighting the inner corner with the shade Shine on a Royal and Langnickel BOM 601 and on the brow arch with a MAC 242. Again, for the inner rim up top, I use the Milk Boss liner, and on the lower portion, I use BCC and mascara. The next look we're doing is the cool tone look on the left. I'm using a Zoeva 227 and the shade Tusk. I'm placing that onto the crease and then upwards into the transition area. I'm going to take that same shade on a Chanel eyeshadow brush. Literally, it's just called an eyeshadow brush, but it's kind of like a pencil brush. And I'm running that along the lower lash line. Now I'm testing out the shade Sculpture. I'm using a Sonia G Crease Pro, and I'm first tapping that shade onto the outer corner and then bringing it into the crease, using small circular motions and windshield wiper motions to blend it slightly upward. On an Esom S33, I'm using a small amount of the shade Tour to add depth directly into the crease. Same brush and the shade Seed, I'm applying that directly to the outer corner only in just little tapping motions. For the lid, I'm going in with Monroe on an Esom W21. I'm taking that all the way to the inner corner and tapping over the last shade we laid down. I'm also going to highlight the brow arch with that shade. To finish off the look, I used Boss Milk Liner on the top inner rim and mascara. Lastly, we're doing the warm look on the right. With a Zoeva 227, I'm taking Freckle into the crease and upwards into the transition area. Just kind of blending that out and upwards. I'm also going to take that shade along the lower lash line with the Wayne Goss number 19. I'm then going to deepen up the crease with the shade Buff on a Zoeva 227. And again, I'm blending that along the lower lash line with a Wayne Goss number 19. Still using the Wayne Goss number 19, I picked up the shade Tone and I applied it first into the crease lightly, and then I went into the inner corner and outer corner, leaving a little empty space on the center of the lid for the next shade that I want to lay down. For the center portion of the lid that we left blank, I'm using Shine on an Esom W21. Again, I want to remind you, I'm using all these shades dry. Starting on the center and then blending over the edges of the last shade we put down. I'm taking the excess from the brush and highlighting the brow arch, and then the shade Monroe on a MAC 242 to the inner corner. And then I finished off that look as well with Boss Liner at the top inner rim and then just mascara. Now that you guys have seen all 4 looks, we can talk about my thoughts on this palette. I will tell you that I am very happy with this palette. So I'm so excited that I am, because I'm not gonna lie, I was hesitant to purchase this because of the Safari palette and how disappointed I was. And the very first time that I used this, it was in the double look where I had one eye with 2 different looks. The very first thing I did was go in with the cool tones, and that was because the Safari palette, to me, the cool tones just blended away. They were patchy and I had troubles with them. So instantaneously, I went straight for the cool tones because I wanted to see right off the bat if they were going to be good or not. And I was very pleased with how they blended out, like this shade in particular. I had no issues with it. It blended, it was beautiful, and it actually adhered to the eye, even though I had already laid down this shade here. I love this color because it's not too dark and it's not too light. The metallics in here are beautiful. You do not have to use them wet. You don't have to use them with a sticky base or anything. I used all of them dry. Obviously, if you wanted them to be a little bit more metallic, you could just go in with a little bit of Fix Plus or a mixing medium and you would be set. I love this shade right here. One of my favorite looks was the second look that I showed you guys, where I used this section. I just thought it was so pretty with this all over the lid. And I have to tell you that I really like the shades like this. So the ones that I use today that have that cream to powder type of finish, I love those. It's kind of like the Charlotte Tilbury palette that I like, the Iconic palette, where it has those, they're not matte, but they have a slight sheen to them that isn't going to emphasize wrinkles, texture, anything like that. It's just skin-like. And I find that They worked really well. They blended out very nicely. I think they look seamless on the eye, but they don't look dry. Like my eye right now, I feel like looks like it melted into my skin, and that I really appreciate. I think some people might have some issues with that, especially if you prefer to set your lids. I feel like you get a better look with those type of shadows when you just go in with an unset eye. So it has something to grip onto, but it still blends out really nicely. The mattes in here are beautiful. They are creamy. They blend out well. They have great pigmentation and texture. I had no issues really with anything in here. The only thing I will say is that you are going to get fallout. I got a decent amount of fallout with several of the looks that I did, but I can't complain. Like I get fallout with the majority of my palettes. It's just whether or not it sticks to the under eye. And I always suggest if you have problems with that, just do your makeup after you do your eye. I'm not going to lie, I was really scared that I wasn't going to like this palette because she is so hit or miss, but I'm happy to say that this is a hit. The only thing is, do you need it? You know, for me, I'm a collector. I love having different palettes to play with. I love different textures. I don't mind having the same kind of look in a palette and just having slight differences in shades. But I would say the majority of makeup lovers definitely have these colors. It just depends on whether or not you really love Natasha's formula or if you want them all in one. It depends on you. Do you think that you need this palette? Do you think that you need these colors? Yada yada. For me, I'm very happy to have this palette, and I would even consider traveling with this palette. Even though it's larger, I feel like it gives you such a range with the natural tones, which is usually what I do on vacation. I could see myself traveling with this. I even bought two because right after I purchased the one, I had a 20% off coupon. I was like, well, I want to use my coupon, and I don't know about anywhere else, but here, if I were to bring back a palette that is unused at like Sephora, then they'll just put it back on the shelf as long as it's unused. So I was going to take that one back and take, you know, hey, give me the 20% off. But I think I'm actually going to keep that palette and have one for my travel bag because it's so nice. And then also, if you're somebody who likes to just carry around just a few shades, you do have the holes in the back to pop these out, just like the Tropic and the Safari palette. Pop them out and you are able to carry just whatever you want in whatever magnetic palette you like. But I'm gonna quit talking and I'm just gonna tell you guys that my opinion is that this is a beautiful palette, and it's up to you as to whether or not you think you need these shades in your life. So I hope you guys enjoyed the looks. Let me know if you did. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.